Alright, let's look at SpaceChem's Don't Fear the Reaper, the boss level of Atropos Station. Right, so what you've got here is this laser that's powered by nitrogen trifluoride, and it's fired by simple hydrogen, H2. And basically what's going to happen is asteroids come in at you, and if they make it to your base here, then they take down the control center health, and so you need to shoot them with the laser. And you do that by powering it, and you can also aim it by just supplying it with methane into either port 1 or 4, and I think 1 rotates it clockwise and 4 rotates it counterclockwise. So all you get is methane, and they give you the option of sensor reactor, fusion reactor, and super bonder. And I ended up using one of each, although this one could have been anything, it didn't really matter. So I would have to say that this is probably the hardest puzzle. This is the hardest level so far in this game. It's definitely the hardest since it takes 3, which was hard at the time. With the skill set that you have at that time, it's really hard. After doing it and the levels afterwards, you gain new skills and you realize it was actually pretty easy, but at the time it was very difficult, so I may look back on this and think it was easy as I move forward, but the game's almost over. Oh, there's like two worlds left, so anyway, let's jump into it. Here's the first one. I mean, this took me so long. I mean, there's just so much to it. Basically, you need 3 fluorines to every 1 nitrogen, and so there's this flip-flop setup here that essentially means that you take this lower path 3 times, and then after 3 times you take the upper path once. So that's how I'm doing it. And I've got the same thing down here and then right here, and what's going to happen is I'll start playing it right away so you can see. So I think the red guy brings it over, and well, for the first one, all right, let's move this up. Right, so he brings it over, drops the hydrogen off there. Blue guy comes in to bond the carbon into it, because you need to bond three hydrogens into the carbon to get the fluorine, and then you're going to have 1 hydrogen left over. And in order to get nitrogen, you bond 1 hydrogen, and you have 3 hydrogens left over. So this first one's going to be the fluorine, and there's these flip-flop loops here that make it into fluorine. The red guy's going to leave it there, and blue guy will grab the last. On his last loop, he'll grab the last hydrogen, and they're going to do this 2 more times, and you'll see that happen. It's the same thing. The same thing's going to happen 2 more times. And so you see these little simple flip-flop routes where it'll go. This red guy will take this path, come back around, and then exit that loop. And the blue guy does the same exact thing. And alright, alright, so now they're going into the 3rd loop. And what's going to happen here is the red guy's going to wait. Blue guy's going to pick it up first and bring it over. And I figured out a little trick where you can fuse atoms that are still bonded, which is very helpful. I'm lucky I figured that out. I actually looked online for some solutions after I solved this, and there's some pretty simple ones that use a trick where you can also fuse atoms into atoms that are in a molecule. So, like, you could say have just this carbon, these 2 hydrogens, and this hydrogen here, and you could bond this hydrogen into this carbon and make it become nitrogen and 3 hydrogens, and it'll stay bonded. And there's some solutions online that take advantage of that trick and make this actually have very few symbols and make it look a lot less cluttered than this. But this, I really like this one because it produced so many problems for me and so many things that I had to solve. And so I'm really proud that I got it to work. So here we go. So he's gonna unbond, and it's just gonna leave this carbon and hydrogen, and then he's gonna instantly fuse that into nitrogen. And then red is gonna output that before anything else can happen, because they're gonna do this. They have to do the same loop again, And like if I didn't output that right away, it would keep fusing and turning into something else, and that was a real problem for me. I had to get this output in the right place to get that nitrogen out before I could bring anything else in. And now they're going to do basically the same thing as before, except without anything to fuse there. They're just going to drop the hydrogen there and output the hydrogens. So I need to get rid of all these hydrogens. There's no recycler in this level, so you have to make use of everything you get. And now here's this trick. Took me a while to figure out. I was actually talking to Bud. Bud had me, or helped me solve this one. Even though what he said didn't actually help in any capacity, just talking to somebody is really helpful in puzzles. Like it helps you think if you can say it out loud. And I mean, obviously he doesn't have this game, and this is really far into the game, so all this stuff I've learned, is easy for me to think about. But all he knows is, I mean, he was trying to help me with the numbers, like making sure I had the right proportions of carbon, fluorine, nitrogen, all that sort of stuff. But while I couldn't figure out what to do, I was stuck because the red guy was getting ahead of the blue guy, or the blue guy was getting ahead of the red guy, either way. Because you have to match up the sync commands, or else they'll just get out of phase and it'll be all screwy. So I had to have this in here so that on his nitrogen creating loop, he hits one extra sync, which is hard to do because I can't just put the sync here because then he'll hit it on every loop. So I had to create this extra little thing here where on the nitrogen phase, he'll hit that extra sync and they'll stay in phase. And then they just repeat that right there, and that's all there is to that. You'll notice this control A right here. This will get the red guy stuck in a loop that just takes the methane and outputs it straight to the bottom reactor, which I can't click on because it's a storage tank there. Thought it might fill up. And that goes here. This is the simple part. All this does is gives me commands. You can use the function F1 through F4 buttons to give different controls to your reactors. And so this is for aiming the laser because you need to aim it manually. So this level is pretty different from a lot of the other ones where you can just let it run and just watch everything happen. This one you have to actually take an active part and aim the laser. So A will start stocking up this one with methanes that it needs, and then C sends it, I believe this is clockwise, and B sends it counterclockwise. And I looked up, one of the solutions had a pretty clever way of doing this where they had another control command here, like B or C up here, that would keep it in a loop so that you would have to turn that command back off to get it to go back here again, which is clever because you can mess up if you're just speeding this along at the fastest speed. You can hold this down too long and send it twice instead of once, make it rotate twice instead of once. So that prevents that, where you just click it on and off. Or you click it on and it'll just do it once, and then you click it off and it'll go back and prepare itself for the next command. And that way you can make sure you only do everything once. Here's the second part. This part was just as hard as the first. It has to do essentially the same thing where it does 3 loops and then enters into a new loop. And I'll show that here. I'm going to start it over. So what I have here is red is going to, I'm just going to build the nitrogen trifluoride right here. I'm not going to rotate it, I'm not going to move it. I'm just going to build it right here using flip-flop commands. So the first time, you can see red goes in here, comes down this way, and he's going to drop that fluorine right there. He's going to go around, he's going to start this 3 counter, but he's going to stay here on the bottom path. I guess technically the top path. And come in, and this time he's going to go up here, he's going to go around here, and he's going to move it to the right one. He's going to leave that there, and he's going to come around again, and this time he's going to go back down again, but this flip-flop's still on, so he's going to go down, he's going to put a fluorine here, so you're going to have fluorine, fluorine, fluorine. And then he's finally going to hit his last loop, which I believe takes him, he's still in this top loop here, and he's going to go up, and he's going to hit this one, and he's going to put that nitrogen right there, but he's not going to drop it, he's just going to bond, so he's going to be holding on to that. I've got this drop command here to pick it back up again, and then output it right there. And the blue guy, every single time a fluorine comes in, a hydrogen comes in right after it, so the blue guy has to pick that up and start sending out these this H2 molecule. And I've got that set up where he's going to First time he's going to place it here, the second time he's going to place it here and output it. And that's really useful. That way you don't have to worry about colliding or moving or anything like that. You just take two different paths, put it right next to each other, and he's going to start this counter up here. So here comes the next fluorine any moment. Put it down on the right one. Hydrogen goes out again. Third fluorine goes to the bottom, and now they're both, you can see when both these flip-flops are turned on, that means they're gonna enter that last stage and reset them back to 0. So now he's going to his final stage, the fourth part of the, so he goes 3 times this way and then 1 time this way, and then he's going to go back 3 times this way, 1 time this way. And here comes the nitrogen, bonds it, drops that out. Now, since the nitrogen came in, I know that there's 3 hydrogens remaining that I need to deal with. And this part was really hard for me because the challenge was that I had this flip-flop here in order, like, I want this to be off because I can't, if the flip-flops aren't all off when the loop is reset, then that means I did something wrong. Like it's gonna get out of phase, it's gonna mess it up, it's not gonna work properly because it's not gonna be started over at the same state that it was on the first time. So it took me a while to figure this out, but I've got a 2 counter here is what this is, I think. So it'll go this way twice and then this way once. So the first 2 times it's going to go this way because it needs 3 hydrogens, right? So the first 2 hydrogens are going to come in here. First one goes here and then gets put out because I already have this hydrogen here, which is very useful. Fortunately, I made this a super bonder, which you can see I took full advantage of. I think I used every single bonder that gets put out. And now he's going to come in again, and this whole time the red guy's just waiting for him. That's the whole point of the red guy's 4th loop, is to just wait for the blue guy to take care of all these hydrogens. This time he's gonna tick this counter again, and now it's ready. It's gonna take him to the 3rd one and reset it. And he's gonna bring this over here, put this down here, and I need the blue guy to interact with this flip flop because that's how I'm gonna set it back to its 0 state. So that's what this is for, is that it's gonna tell him to interact with this again, set it back to 0, but still be able to plop down the 3rd hydrogen and put it out. Because the hydrogens will match up. Like with the 3 fluorines, you get 3 hydrogens, which means you're going to have 1 odd hydrogen. And then with the nitrogen, you have 3 hydrogens, so that totals up to 6, which totals up to 3 H2s. So it should work perfectly, but it's still really tricky to get the pathing right. So here you can see he's gonna reset these to the 0 state. His fluorine's already coming in again. It's not waiting around for blue guy's shenanigans, and he's going to drop it there, and he's going to bond it the same way he does with all the fluorines, except this time it's in this vertical pattern instead of the horizontal pattern. And that sends that out, and you can see the lasers firing because I've got a little bit of charge, and I already outputted the H2. And that's about that. I don't know what else to say. This was really hard for a long time. I thought this was just impossible. It's really hard because you only get 3 reactors. You can't see it down here because it's running. You only get 3 reactors, so your options are very, very limited, and I think it's the first time they've tasked you with something this difficult. Like I said, there's solutions on YouTube of people doing it pretty simply where they bond. They basically take this first methane and just move it slightly and then bond the hydrogen into the carbon so that it's nitrogen and 3 hydrogens. And then they output that, and they'll bond like oxygens, I think, into the hydrogens to make it into fluorine, because they also produce like a water molecule, and that's a pretty simple way of doing it. And the great thing about this game is there's so many different solutions to all these problems, but I don't know. I feel like that simple solution is like, somebody thought of it on their own, but I feel like a lot of people probably just looked it up. And I mean, if you can figure out that trick, then good for you. But the fact that I looked up 2 different solutions that did it slightly differently, but essentially did the exact same thing with the nitrogen, 3 hydrogens, and 2 hydrogens and an oxygen. They both output that and formed that into what they needed out here. And I I don't know, this has a lot more problem solving in it, and the clutter, you know, it doesn't look good, but it all works, it all functions. That's what I always say in all my videos, is that it works, and it certainly does. So I guess I'll try to actually beat the level. I have to. It's kind of tough to control. I have to always slow it down to build up my, you know, my aiming. I have to build up my aiming cue here every once in a while, and then, like, because I'm not charging the laser while I'm building up this aiming, so it's gonna just run out while these guys are waiting. You can see they're waiting because I have my aiming thing filling up. I don't know if I needed this storage tank. I don't think I actually used it. The meteors don't start, the asteroids don't start coming for a while, so they give you some time to build up. So I'll just let that build up a little bit, and then, luckily the way I have it working is I can stop this anywhere. Like, there could be 3 fluorines here, and these guys will just wait. It won't break if it's waiting for the aiming to fill up or whatever. So here we go. Let's bring in the first meteor. So I think B is counterclockwise. There we go. Perfect. C, we're gonna need a couple of those. Need one more. There we go. Nail that guy. And then at the end, a spaceship, like this derelict spaceship, comes in. I think that's the idea, is that there's some alien controlling this debris and it's trying to destroy the station. And so you have to blow up the spaceship, and as soon as you do that, you win. So it looks like I need some counterclockwise. Should be good. Perfect. Oops, wrong way. So sometimes I mess up and go the wrong way, and then I'm like, oh crap, I'm gonna run out, but this goes slow enough that I can generally get it. Except now I need more. I'm in trouble. I need some more aiming cue here. Let that build up a little bit. And that's big for now because I need to defend. So there we go. Laser's going to come back on hopefully any moment. Yeah, there we go. Let's see, clockwise. I have a hard time remembering which button is which. Go. Okay, ooh, I should build up some more aim. Build up a little bit, and then let's see, it's enough. C. More. That guy. Alright, so here's the main ship, and I blew it up before I even saw it. That was easy. So there you go, defeated. It's the end of Atropos Station. That was, I gotta say, that was the hardest puzzle I've seen so far in this game. It took me a really long time to solve it. And there you go. Unfortunately, you can't compare on the boss levels, but there you go, that's that. Pretty proud of that one. Now I gotta move on to this stuff, which looks even harder, so wish me luck.